And now we're moving on to our main feature discussion, which we're going to call Unexpected Christmas. So we're going to be looking at some games that have Christmas within them, but you may not expect them to have a Christmas connection to them. So it's something that came out of the blue for you, and yeah. Well, I'll kick this one off. The game I want to talk about it's a Sega published game. It's made by Tri-Ace. It's on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. It's called Resonance of Fate. I don't actually have my copy with me. I think it's actually my parents' house, which is a bit annoying. But do you know about Resonance of Fate at all?
Yeah, they thought it was an ingenious idea to release it the same day as Final Fantasy 13.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, if you don't know, Resonance of Fate is I guess is the best way to describe it, is a JRPG game.
Yeah.
It's made by Tri-Ace, who are a big JRPG games developer. And yeah, unfortunately, it's right up against Final Fantasy, arguably the biggest RPG of all time, franchise of all time. So no one
Think God of War came out that week too.
Oh yeah, I think it was like the worst time for them to publish it. I don't know if Sega did this, but it's basically
not a good debut. Or exactly. Not a good week for a debut title, essentially.
Exactly. It's a brand new IP, so no one had even heard about it. And yeah. But, so yeah, effectively, Resonance of Fate, it's, I guess the best way to talk about it, it's a, oh god, I've just forgotten the word. It's,
steampunk.
That's the word, steampunk. I was about to say cyberpunk, but that's completely wrong. It's a steampunk style game. So you're, I can't really go into the whole storyline. I played it when it first came out, and to be honest, I've not played it since and kind of forgotten most of it. But it's a game that you would never expect. There's basically no connection to Christmas at all in it. It's all, like, as I say, steampunk. It's got some really cool combat scenes where you it's like turn-based combat, but it's very dynamic the way the characters run around. They do these really cool somersaults, and they put out guns and start firing and stuff. It's really awesome.
It's got
really
a learning
cinematic
curve to it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I remember when I first started playing, I was like, "Oh, this is kind of easy," and then suddenly, just like there's a lot more strategy behind the combat, which I had to really sort of work out. And but you're kind of. Oh,
I'm fairly confident. I'm fairly confident most people don't know about this game. Mm-hmm. So even if you are a Sega fan, I wouldn't be surprised if it fell under your radar. But the combat is like if you tried to make Bayonetta into not an RTS, a tactics game almost, because you do have range and stuff like that, but you are using like gun fu in it almost, because you're doing acrobatic nonsense while you're using handguns and stuff at people.
Yeah.
So it looked really cool, but I had no fucking idea what I was doing when I was playing it.
Yeah, it's special. Yeah, as you say, really cinematic, really, really impressive when you just to watch the game. There's tons of videos on YouTube if you want to check it out, because it's a really fun game just to watch, let alone play. Playing it's really good as well. And but yeah, so I've kind of set in this from memory. It's like almost like a floating city base type thing in the sky, which
steampunk.
Yeah, very steampunk. All the stuff around you is kind of got that steampunky kind of brass, copper, browns, greys, metal colours and stuff, and almost literally nothing to do with winter or Christmas within it until, from memory, it's very late in the game. I think it was like one of the second to last missions or something. There's actually 2 Christmas related missions within this game. So one of them, effectively, you have to go around and find items for Christmas decorations, and from memory, I think that's just a side mission which you don't have to actually do. But then there's another one which is called Merry Christmas, and you basically play as the girl who's Leanne, and she dresses up in a sort of Santa dress, like classic traditional female Santa outfit, and you've got these 2 guys dressed in like these weird reindeer costumes. From memory, they look almost like bears, but they are meant to be reindeer. And you go into a battle mode, but the battle mode isn't to fight and kill enemies; it's to give presents to kids. And so you kind of do like these awesome like somersaults in the air, and like but instead of putting out your guns, you put out like a present and like throw it at the kids, and it's like almost like a mini explosion, and the kid's holding a present going, yay! But from memory, the kids are chasing you around the battlefield, so it's almost like it is kind of almost like a battle. It was just such a weird thing because, as I say, from memory, I feel like it happens right near the end of the game, like maybe 1 or 2 main missions before the final missions. But yeah, it's just so out of place, but really fun because it was just like cool, like a fun little break from what you had been doing for the whole game, pretty much. And yeah, it's just so unexpected for me. I was just like, this is insane. I love it. And I mean, the whole game is really fun. It's really good storyline. It takes a good chunk of time as well, but I'd say not as long as like some of the Final Fantasy games. But yeah, so Scotty, have you actually played this, or have you only just seen it?
I literally played it at a demo booth at a PAX one year, and whoever was watching the Sega booth just kind of laughed at me as I tried to figure out the battle system.
Okay.
That's it. I thought I owned it, but apparently I don't. I was going to grab it to show people the cover, but oh well.
Fair enough. Yeah. The cover, I can't remember what the cover is now. I think it's
just three generic white kids.
Pretty much. Kind of, I think one of them's got the kind of Cloud Strife almost white spiky haircut by the looks of it. I was just looking at it now. It's got a picture of Leanne at the front holding some guns, and then like one of them's got like a machine gun behind her, and another one's like doing that, or like to the side. So there's like three sort of teenage kids who are like the main protagonists within the game that you play as and control. And but it's really awesome. Just really bizarre to have that Christmas scene in it. So yeah,
that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, so check it out. Actually, go on YouTube. You can find those missions I just mentioned on YouTube. The one where you're finding items for decorations less interesting from memory, like it was just kind of a side thing. But the other one, we actually throwing presents at kids. That was, from memory, that was a main mission you had to do. It was just like it's a story mission that you get stepped into, which was great. But it's out there. You can watch it. So Scotty, what about you? Have you got any games that you didn't expect to have Christmas in, but surprise, Christmas?
Yeah. The first one I'll mention is Snatcher on the Sega CD, Saturn in Japan. But when you're walking downtown, for anyone that doesn't know what Snatcher is, what's his name? No, that's not his name. I forget. Kojima really likes Blade Runner, and he made a game about it. But Metal Gear's in it too. He's on the cover, I think, sort of. The little guy. But no, when you are asking questions downtown and stuff, Jingle Bells is playing the whole time. So it is actually during Christmas time that this takes place. But you don't get that impression at first. But then you keep talking to people, and just in the background, is going on the whole time. It's even on the soundtrack. If you get the soundtrack for Snatcher, their version of Jingle Bells is on there. Which is it called something else? I'm not even sure. Probably, but Merry Xmas Neo Kobe City. I don't know. This is the limited run thing, cassette soundtrack. But no, and you actually also talk to Santa, who ends up being an informant. You talk about drugs and stuff with Santa, but it's interesting because this game is just very, very dark, and it's a mystery, kind of crime-solving not action, but adventure game, almost a point-and-click thing, just going through dialogue. But yeah, it's cool to have that taking place, and you see the different. It talks about the different colors and stuff that you see with the different lights and decorations and whatever. And you do, like I said, the main thing is like Jingle Bells is playing, and you do talk to Santa as he is a character in the game. But it's not something you expect with how the game starts out. So it adds like a peaceful tone to a definite dark overtone that's going on in the game. So it was not expected when I played it for the first time last year. But it's neat. It definitely adds a mood to it. Have you actually played Snatcher, Graham?
I have not. I've seen a lot of video footage of it though. It's one of those games. I don't know if it came out in the UK. I could be wrong on that. So
I'm not sure. It's stupid expensive on the Sega CD. So this is a repro. I will just admit that right now. Okay. But it's pretty. Just open, please. Case would not open, but it's a good looking thing and everything. But yeah, Santa's in it. Jingle Bells are playing. It takes place during Christmas. So is it a Christmas game? You decide. Crack the code, and Junkers, Snatchers and Junkers, Neo Kobe City, AD 2047. Nice. And then the other one, unless you had anything to say about Snatcher.
I mean, it's one of those games that I think sounds really interesting to me. It's one of those games I wouldn't play I think as a child I wouldn't have played it. It wouldn't have interested me.
I know I wouldn't have.
Now I'm older. It's almost these dialogue based kind of mystery puzzle solving games are actually more interesting to me. And so I might actually look into it a bit more. I know it was released on some other different consoles, wasn't it, at the time? Because I think it was on the
America
PC.
Only got it on CD.
Yeah. So I think in Japan it was on like the MSX2 and PC Engine and stuff, which had uncensored content in them.
Right.
So there was actually a tiny bit of nudity, I believe, in it, and also some.
It definitely got away with a teen rating.
Yeah. And I think in the original Japanese one, from what I've read and saw, there's a scene where I think there's a dog's corpse. It might have even been a robot dog. I'm not sure, but a dog's corpse is found. And in the original Japanese version, like it's actually, I think you see its heart, or you can see something pulsating in the corpse. But on the Western releases, that was all that animation was stopped. So it's just like a dead body, basically.
Oh,
there's like twitching or something.
Well, there is stuff that's censored in Japan because decapitation is very much taboo over there. And that happens in this game. But it is, there's some intense scenes. It should probably be M rated. I will say, if you play this now, don't be ashamed if you have to look up a guide, because some stuff I had no idea. And for the sake of progression, we played it for the Sideshow podcast, but for the sake of like progressing each week, I had to use a guide. Yeah. But it's a good game. Snatcher's a good game.
It's a game that really interests me, and if I can get a chance to play it, I probably will. Maybe I'll try and pick up a repro or something as well, because I know some people just don't like the idea of repros, but when some of these games are like, $200 or something, it's like, dude, I can't afford to pay that for like all these great old games that you just don't get to play anymore. But
it was. You mentioned the PC Engine, because it is on the PC Engine / TurboGrafx Mini that came out, but it's only in Japanese. So good luck with the text-based adventure game.
Awesome.
Yeah, but that's cool. And the only other one that I thought of right away was Shenmue, because in the first Shenmue, it does take place. You can eventually experience Christmas, so to speak. December 25th anyway, and Santa will just be walking around De Boita or wherever it is. I forget now. But he is useless in the game. He serves no purpose other than to greet you, and I think he tells you to go home at one point or don't stay out late. I don't remember. But he just says Merry Christmas. You can talk to him all day. When I first played Shenmue, I got legitimately excited seeing Santa walk around, because I didn't experience like Christmas just randomly in a game at that point yet. But seeing Santa walking around was like, oh, I got to talk to Santa. Maybe he's going to help me find Chinese people that speak Chinese. Stuff. Just classic Shenmue. But that was fun. That was a nice little surprise seeing him walk around, because there's so much going on in that game already.
Yeah, I think that's such a nice touch, because that game, as you say, that game is massive, but because it's almost time-based, you can literally, you start on a certain, I can't remember what the date it is now you start on, but you start on a certain date, and the time does progress each day, that it will then turn into next month and stuff. So it's just really cool that they thought, Christmas is going to come up. Let's include Santa. Does that happen in Shenmue 2 at all? I've never... I finished Shenmue 2, but I just played through. I never bothered to wait around for the days to pass. I just progressed.
That game is so much bigger that if Santa's in it, I wouldn't be surprised if I missed him entirely when I played.
Right. You mean there's not a Santa on every corner?
Well, I mean, like, yeah, right. In the first Shenmue, there's essentially one main street or one main section of town that you're exploring. But in Shenmue 2, there's kind of two cities that you explore.
Yeah.
So I could totally understand if you miss Santa entirely. I mean, if you want to Google real quick Shenmue 2 Santa,
That's what I'm doing.
find out. But yeah, it was still fun, because it made no sense that he was walking around that town. Like, he didn't have, like, it was just him. He wasn't like on a bike with presents or like carrying gifts. He's just walking around.
Oh, he's got a whole backstory. The thing that came up was for the first Shenmue. He's got a backstory. I didn't know if you know this guy, the Santa. He's called I gotta go and pronounce his name, but Santa Mayo, or may know Santa.
Mayonnaise.
And he is a retired marathon runner who is now a sandwich board man walking through Dobrita. I can never pronounce the name, in Osaka. And in the middle of Christmas holidays, he advertises the shops, apparently. That's his purpose. So apparently he holds up signboards and stuff.
I've never seen a damn one. He's doing a shit job.
So apparently he advertises shops such as the Ajichi Chinese restaurant during the day and the MJQ Jazz Bar at night. So, and his zodiac sign is Scorpio and he's an AB blood type.
Of course.
Wow. And he's born in 1939, November the 7th. This is
all right.
I'm being serious. This is fascinating.
He's like almost 40 when you're playing Shenmue. Then
wow,
when you encounter him,
insane. But yeah, okay. I can't find anything for Shenmue 2 about Santa. That's brilliant. Yeah, nothing's coming up for. I've just done a different type of search, and nothing's coming up for that. So there we go. Although one of the results that just came up is Shenmue 2 cancelled?
Oh, well, I hope they decide to bring it back. Is there's not any like downloadable stuff for Christmas related stuff for Shenmue 2 that you recall, or
not that I don't really remember much downloadable stuff on the Shenmue games as such.
Yeah, I mean there was the online pass or whatever for the first game, but that was more so a database and like leaderboards. Yeah,
I feel like that didn't really have any proper downloadable content. I mean, well, here's the thing: the Dreamcast, while it did technically have downloadable content, most of it was actually all stuff that was hidden on the discs and stuff. So, you downloaded a little file to unlock it because the VMU's memory size was tiny. But yeah, I can't find anything about it. But that's pretty cool. I think it's just an awesome thing to have. And I haven't got this in the notes, but just very quickly, I'll touch on. There's another game which I did not expect to have Christmas stuff in, which is Sega Touring Cars on the Sega Saturn. I don't know if you've ever played that game at all.
Nope.
So it's an arcade racer. So it's imagine Sega Rally, but you're in touring cars and stuff. And the Saturn version is notorious for having a terrible frame rate. But I don't know if it's I don't know if it's the frame rate being bad or not, but it's the fastest racing game I think I've ever played in my life on the Saturn. Like, not just saying it's the fastest game on the Saturn, it's the fastest game I've ever played, but the Saturn version is, because you just seem to go so quickly, the world is rushing past you, and like the tracks are as long as Sega Rally tracks, but rather than doing a lap, like one lap in like a minute and 30 seconds, you're doing a lap in like 20 seconds. It's insane. But that game, so it's just a driving game, but in December, I'm pretty sure it might just be on December the 25th, suddenly it gets a Christmas theme going. It's like all winter, and from memory it's like Christmas trees and stuff, and it's like, this is awesome. Like, it's such a nice little touch to have in the game. So yeah, I love it when Sega did things like that, just nice little touches.
I just miss date and time based stuff in games.
I was about to say, the Saturn there's quite a few games on the Saturn which use the actual time based system, not just for save files, to actually say, hey, this time of year, let's do some fun stuff. Let's throw out some cool things. Yeah, miss all that stuff. But there we go. And with that will bring us to the end of that discussion and the end of the show. Have a great week, everybody. So catch you later. Be excellent to each other.
Christmas. Honey, I gotta tell you about this sandwich.